It's NFL Overreaction Monday here for the Chicago Bears, and we've got a lot to discuss. I'm Harrison Graham. Could the Bears bench Justin Fields? At least one former NFL head coach and Bears assistant coach believes so. Jaylon Johnson, could he get traded to the Dallas Cowboys? Dallas tried to be a Super Bowl contender. They lost Trevon Diggs for the year. Could Jaylon Johnson, who has not gotten an extension, be on the trade block? And then we'll take a look at some injury updates coming in after the Chiefs game, where things sit as of now, as the injuries seem to be piling up. And be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you want daily Bears videos here on Chicago Bears Now, we're the channel for you on this YouTube platform. Don't miss out. We put out a video earlier today. We're going to put out multiple videos per day and go live every single week, 3 times per week. So be sure to turn on notifications as well after you subscribe. All right, Overreaction Monday. Could Justin Fields be benched? Should he be benched? This is an overreaction, and there's a lot of reasons why it's an overreaction, which I will explain here in just a moment. But let's go to the source first. Mike Martz, yes, our good pal, is back. The Bears offensive coordinator back in the day. Remember when Smokin' Jay Cutler told Mike Martz to F off, basically, and it got picked up on Mike during a game? That was a classic. He thinks they should bench Justin Fields. Here's what Martz had to say. The whole situation with him demoralized his team. If they don't make a change, I think it's just going to get worse. If that's possible for this to get worse, it's a demoralized football team that's heading down. Now, I do think there's some truth to it's a bit of a demoralized team. How could it not be? You've lost 13 games in a row. Like, the vibes are not going to be high in that situation, but you don't bench Justin Fields right now. You just don't. And here's why. Number one, once you do bench him, there's no going back. You don't bench him for a couple weeks and then say, we shouldn't have done that. Let's bring it back in. Like, with how fragile this team is right now, like, you make that move, to me, that's a signal like he's not the future. Like, you're not going back. Now, are there exceptions to that? Perhaps, but I think in this situation, like, if you bench him in a year where he has to perform to be that guy long term, there's no hitting the reverse button on that. I think you're telling your fan base, hey, we're turning the page on Justin Fields. Number two, Tyson Bagent isn't ready. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say I trust his coaching staff, because I don't, but I do think it's pretty telling that Tyson Bagent continues to be QB3 behind Nathan Peterman. Now, do I think that's stupid? Do I think he should be the active QB2 on game day? Yeah, I do, because, for example, when you're getting blown out 41-0 and the game's clearly over, that seems like a good opportunity to get him reps, but maybe he's not ready for those reps. Maybe he's not ready to go in there and run an NFL offense at this point in his career. Sure, there were some moments in preseason, but it's watered down. The playbook is super condensed, and you're playing defenses that aren't showing anything. Is an undrafted rookie ready to play right now? It doesn't appear so. Let's revisit that in like week 10. I just don't think that's a move you make right now. And then number three, it hurts his trade value tremendously, I think, if you bench him right now. It doesn't completely kill it. There's going to be a team out there that will trade you a draft pick for Justin Fields. Trey Lance went for a 4th, and he's basically never played for the 49ers. I think you can get at least a 4th, if not a 3rd, for Justin Fields if you trade him, but you don't bench him right now, because you don't give the rest of the league any indication that that's where you're at if you are considering trading him at some point in time. So you be the coach. You be Matt Eberflus, Luke Getsy, hell, Ryan Poles. You make the decision. What would you do with Justin Fields? Would you bench him? Type B for bench him, you would. Type S for start him if you would continue to start him. I think you have to start him right now. I think that's the move you have to continue to make. Pinned comment on today's show. Bench, start, what would you do with Justin Fields? Today's show is sponsored by PrizePicks. I'm so excited to partner with PrizePicks, our brand new sponsor here at Chat Sports. PrizePicks.com/CLNS, code CLNS. They will match your deposit match up to $100. And if you want to spice up your NFL Sundays, get started with PrizePicks right now. PrizePicks is a skill-based, real money daily fantasy sports game. And if you're looking to have more fun on game day, look no further than PrizePicks. How does it work, you ask? Well, here's how. You pick 2 to 6 players, and if they will go more or less than their PrizePicks projection, you can win up to 25 times your money on any given entry. At PrizePicks, you aren't competing against other people. It's just you versus the projections available instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks who study this stuff 24/7. With PrizePicks, it takes less than 60 seconds to make your pick, so get started right away. My 2 picks here for Monday Night Football, little 2 combo here. Jalen Hurts, less on the passing yards. He's been off to a bit of a slow start. I think the Eagles are going to lean on that run game. Hurts might even run a lot, but I like the less passing yardage there. And then I'm going more on Mike Evans. I think he eclipses 60 yards easily. It's set at 57.5 right there. I like more on the yards for Mike Evans. $20 to win 60. That's a very, very good deal there. So get started with PrizePicks right now. It's prizepicks.com/CLNS. Code CLNS for a deposit match up to $100. Why is it code CLNS? Because that's our ad agency partner code CLNS. It's easy, 4 letters to get a $100 match when you sign up. So download the app today. Link is in the comments and in the description. It's prizepicks.com/CLNS, code CLNS. You get to our Smokin' Jay rumor meter here, just for new subscribers to be aware of. 0 Smokin' Jays equals fake news. On Overreaction Monday, that means it's an overreaction. That's what we're calling it there. I'm not benching Justin Fields, for example. 1 Smokin' Jay, it's barely true. It could happen, but it's unlikely right now. 2 Smokin' Jays, people are talking. It's 50-50, perhaps. 3 Smokin' Jays, it's pretty likely. And then 4 Smokin' Jays, bear down. It's absolutely going to happen. So Jaylon Johnson, could he get traded to the Cowboys? Is that literally 50-50? No, but do I think it makes a lot of sense? And are people talking about it? I'm talking about it. 2 Smokin' Jays on this one. I think the stars could align here, especially if the Bears continue to lose games, because the Dallas Cowboys are very much a team that could contend for a Super Bowl this year. I'd say they're one of 7 or 8 teams that has a real shot of winning a Lombardi trophy, and they just lost Trevon Diggs, their all-pro corner, to a torn ACL. Yes, they have Stephon Gilmore, but they don't have that proven second outside corner. And Jaylon Johnson as a CB2, that's a pretty damn good fit if you ask me. And the Bears have not paid Jaylon Johnson. He's playing out his contract year on his rookie contract, so he could certainly be an option for the Dallas Cowboys. The trade deadline coming up in just over a month, October 31st, Halloween, spooky season, just around the corner. And look, if the Bears keep trending in this direction, they're going to be a team that very well could be sellers. So keep that in mind as well. Their next 5 games for Chicago, Week 4 against the Denver Broncos at home, obviously, at Washington. These next 2 games are critical to determine where the Bears are going to be this year. Week 6 at home against the Vikes, Week 7 at home against the Raiders. I mean, you got 3 of 4 at home against winnable teams. It's, you could talk yourself back into it, although I refuse to do that. And then Week 8 at the Chargers, Sunday Night Football. That's just a couple of days before the trade deadline. So you're 0-3. If you're 3-5, maybe you stand pat. But if you're 2 wins or less, you got to sell, man. You got to get a couple draft picks and look forward. Maybe Darnell Mooney's a guy that's on the trade block. Chase Claypool as well. Certainly Jaylon Johnson could be a player. And I like Jaylon Johnson. If they end up paying him, I got no issue with that. I think he's a player worthy of a second contract. But if you're not contending and if you don't feel like you want to pay him big CB money, then, hey, you get a second, third round pick for him. That's pretty appealing. That's pretty darn appealing for a team that's already got good draft capital at the top of the draft next year. So certainly something to monitor. You lose this week, I mean, the trade talk for players is really going to heat up in terms of selling off pieces, because 0-4, it's good night, Irene. You're not making the playoffs at that point in time. What would you do with Jaylon Johnson? Type T for trade him or P for pay him. I'm cool with either scenario. I don't want to trade him for garbage. I would not take less than a third-round pick for him, because you could just let him walk in free agency and potentially get a third-round comp pick. But we'll see. It'll be interesting. Curious to see what you guys think. Keeping it rolling here on Overreaction Monday. Matt Eberflus, is he on the hot seat as the Bears head coach? Unfortunately, I'm just going 1 Smokin' Jay. I think there's got to be at least a little bit of truth to it. It's barely true, but for how bad things have gotten, you don't hear any indication, any rumors, reports coming out of the building that Flus is on the hot seat, despite being 3-17, despite losing 13 straight games. There is no indication that Flus is in trouble. Now, that doesn't mean he's not. It's just based on what's out there and based on what we're hearing, it does not appear to be that way at this point in time. Should it, though? Should he be on the hot seat? Well, here are some indicators to why I think he should be, courtesy of Danny Parkins here. He says, in the Bears' 13-game losing streak, they have allowed an average of 33.6 points per game. Remember, Matt Eberflus, defensive-minded head coach. And if you want to say, well, a lot of that was last year, like you weren't good. Really? 38 points in week 1 to the Packers, 27 in week 2. 7 was a pick 6, so I'll chop 7 off. But then 41 in week 3. Defense has not been good this year either. Let's not get it twisted. Here's more. The Bears have allowed opponents to convert 60% of their third downs this year, 27 of 45, which is just ridiculous. And, oh, by the way, 1 sack in 3 games. Their 2 takeaways they have, by the way, are off Blaine Gabbert. Otherwise, you have 0 in 3 games. That is absolutely brutal for the Chicago Bears. And, look, that didn't even talk about the offense. But, again, your head coach is a defensive guy. You would think that the defense would at least be competent. It's not. It's near the bottom in every single category in the NFL. And here's what pisses me off. Will someone do something in that building? Will someone stand up and say, this is garbage, we're not going to stand for it anymore, fans deserve better than this? Instead, it's like, oh, we got to stay the course. Matt Eberflus today, we're close. How do you know, Coach? Because I've seen it before. We started 1-5 in Indianapolis in 2018, rallied to 10-6. I've seen it. I know what it takes. Well, then fucking do it. Like, what's the issue? 41-10 is not close. 38-20 at home to your rival is not close. 13 straight losses when you're giving up 25 or more points in all 13 of them. Only team in NFL history to do that. How is that close? Like, I'm just so tired of, the spin zone that you're hearing. Like, Flus, just go up there and say, you know what, this is unacceptable garbage, and we're working to fix it. I wouldn't believe that it would be fixed, but I could at least look him in the eye and be like, thank you. Thank you for saying the obvious, because we can all see it. I just want someone in a leadership position to do something about this crap, because it's just not working. And I'm looking at you, Kevin Warren. That's the one difference in this whole setup, structure of the franchise right now that we haven't had in the past. A team president that might actually know a thing or two. Ted Phillips, George McCaskey, he wasn't going to do anything right as the chairman of this organization. Kevin Warren, that's different, though. I don't know if he's going to be good, but is he someone that will do something? I hope. I mean, this can't continue for much longer. It really, really can't. I mean, I would have considered a move already. You lose the next 2 games that are very winnable. I don't see how you let this crap continue. I mean, if that's 15 straight losses, I mean, that is historically bad at that point. It just can't go on. And it's why you guys should subscribe to the channel, because I'm always going to give you my unfiltered opinions, the latest Bears news, rumors, everything going on. And earlier today, we took a look at some potential Matt Eberflus replacements. If you have to move on, listen, I want it to work out for Flus, but why would I believe that could happen? He's won 3 out of 20 games. I mean, he's got the worst winning percentage of any coach in the history of this franchise, and it's not like they've had world beaters recently. It's bad. Hit that sub button, go to the content tab, and check out this video if you haven't already. Okay, let's talk injuries real quick as they continue to pile up, unfortunately. Several players left yesterday's game against the Chiefs with injuries, most notably Tremaine Edmunds. Now, Flus today seemed to think that he was going to be okay. They left Jack Sanborn in there late just because game was over. Sanborn was playing well. There's really no downside there. Jaylon Johnson, Tyrique Stevenson, Josh Blackwell all left. Johnson and Blackwell left with hamstrings. That's not ideal, obviously. And Stevenson's case is weird. Looked like he was being evaluated for a concussion. Then they labeled it as an illness. They asked Flus about that distinction today, and even he admitted, he was like, I'm not really sure what happened there. To my understanding, it was more of a neck issue, not a concussion. And then someone chimed in and was like, oh, no, it was an illness situation. It's like, that whole thing felt weird. But point is, we don't know the status of any of those 3 corners, and your secondary is already thin because guess what? Eddie Jackson, he was out. He didn't play. Kyler Gordon's on IR. He's missing at least 2 more games. Braxton Jones, Tevin Jenkins on IR. Nate Davis was active, but he hasn't practiced much, which is why he didn't start. The point is you got a lot of guys getting banged up. That being said, I don't want to hear the excuses, man. You were more competitive last year with the worst roster. That's what I keep pointing to. That's what's so frustrating about this. It's like, do you have an awesome roster? Are you super healthy right now? No, but it is a better situation than last year, and you look worse. I don't need to hear Flus referring to the injuries like, hey, we're just now practicing together. We're just now playing together. Dude, you're 20 games into a tenure. You've won 3. I don't want to hear it. There's some legitimacy to it, but it's not your place to say it. Like, that's an evaluation behind the scenes stuff you discussed. You don't hop on the podium and be like, yeah, guys are banged up. Who cares? Like, you think fans care about that? They want to win. You've lost 13 in a row. Like, you have to play better than you are at this point in time. So let me know. Who or what being like injuries, for example, do you blame most for the Bears' struggles so far this year? I think there's a lot of blame to go around, but I have to look at the head coach first. He's in charge of the roster. Or not necessarily of the roster like construction, but he's in charge of the team, the game planning, all that stuff. Flus has got to figure it out, man. Like, and the clock's ticking if you're asking me. It's only one smoking Jakes. I haven't heard anything directly from Hallis Hall, but you got to think the Heat's ramping up at least a little bit. All right, guys. Appreciate everybody for tuning in to today's show. If you want more Bears news and rumors, go ahead and hit that subscribe button on the channel. It's youtube.com/BearsNow. Do not miss out.